Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural Women's Freedom Conference. As you can see, I am broadcasting live from my home, and I am working with an amazing team of women who have been working to bring you one of the most dynamic, innovative conferences you've ever attended, the Women's Freedom Conference. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about how it all began and what you can expect for today. I may get a little emotional just because this has been my passion project for almost a year. Last year, I became heavily involved in a lot of issues related to police brutality and fighting for the rights of Black people and freedom and brown people and Native people and all these people in America and around the world who have been terrorized by the police. I decided that I wanted to get involved more. I wanted to teach my son what it meant to be a global citizen, a part of making the world a better place. But one of the things I noticed was that as a woman, as a Black woman, I faced a lot of resistance and pushback simply because I was a woman and a woman of color. I realized that women of color don't really get the space to have their issues, their ideas, their concerns, their work, their talents, their success and their achievements all centered with the focus primarily on them. I wanted to change that. So I started talking to my friends, my two best friends, and I said, what if we had a day where we gathered every woman possible together, a woman of color, in the same space, and we had a day that was just focused on us? Initially, we conceived it as a march. We wanted to kind of throw back to the Million Woman March, which took place on this day 18 years ago. But then we thought about some of the limitations. We thought about issues of accessibility. Now, some of you watching this have seen me at various conferences and watched me live. And you know that conferences really gather people together and you can learn so much and you can share so much and network so well. But you also know that it is often cost prohibitive and it's also difficult for people with different disabilities. It's difficult for parents who can't afford childcare. It's difficult for people who are economically disenfranchised to save money and travel and pay the cost for conferences and get the hotels and the plane tickets. So often these conferences gather together those who can, not as much as those who really, really want to. And we wanted to change that. So one day I called them up. I said, you guys don't hate me, but what if we did a digital conference? And they loved it, they agreed, and we decided that the Women's Freedom March would then be the Women's Freedom Conference. We conceived it as a full day of programming during which women from around the world, women of color from around the world, regardless of age, regardless of race, nationality, cultural connection, location, anything, would be able to present what they're doing in the world. What are they working on? What's happening? What kinds of movements are going on around the world? What are women of color doing in India? What are they doing in Australia? What are they doing in East Africa? What are they doing in the southern parts of South America? We wanted to know. And so we put out a call and we said, listen, we're going to put together a digital conference and we invite you all to participate. We had over 65 submissions for 10 slots, and we were totally overwhelmed because we didn't think that anybody would care, but you did. And so we put together a team of almost 40 volunteers. Everybody who's worked on this has been a volunteer. And we set to work about 11 months ago. We found some of the most heart-wrenching, victorious, triumphant stories from women around the world. I learned so much just in reviewing the submissions. Of course, I also called upon some of my colleagues that I know in this industry, in these various industries, who often give these kinds of talks, who are making moves. Jamel Hill, Basi Ikpi, Caroline Tarani, Catherine Finney, Mickey Kendall, a number of people I know who have something important to say. And I wanted to make sure that as many people could access it as possible. So here we are. Today, I am presenting to you the Women's Freedom Conference. You can watch it from your home just like I am. You can access it from your phone. You can access it from your computer, your tablet, your iPad, wherever you are. And the majority of this conference is free. That was important to us, that we make it as accessible as possible. Now, we did ask for donations, and we will continue to ask for donations because we believe in compensating people for their work. So we're working to pay all of our speakers, pay for the technology we're using, and to support the efforts of the women involved. You'll be able to make donations throughout the day, and we hope that whatever you can give, you can spare. From $1 to 1,000, they're all welcome, trust me. My friends will tell you I had an emotional moment when I saw that somebody gave us $1, and I was like, wow, that's, they gave us that. If that's all they had, they gave it to us. So we appreciate you. We are looking forward to an incredibly dynamic day. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about what freedom means to me and why did we call this the Women's Freedom Conference? First of all, we didn't call it the Women of Color Freedom Conference because we want to get it into your head that women of color are women. And when you say women, you're not simply referring to white women. You're not simply referring to able-bodied women. You are not simply referring to cisgendered heterosexual women. You are referring to all women, and all women matter. Now, some people ask, why are there no white women involved? Why are there no men involved? Because we didn't want to. We believed that it was our time, and we deserve to be the central focus. Now, we do have an intern who is white, and she's been very supportive. A number of our donors have been white. A number of our donors and supporters have been men. If you've seen any of our PSAs, thank you, Sean King. Thank you, Garfield Hilton. We have had men supporting us. But it's important for those who are marginalized and who are oppressed to show the world that they are more than capable of doing these things on their own. So thank you to everyone who has supported us in the ways that we think we feel are best or most sustainable. We appreciate that. But what does freedom mean? This is something I've been thinking about for quite some time. I am not sure that we know what freedom looks like. We talk about it. We talk about liberation. We talk about freedom. As Black people, we have Black liberation, ideology. We have Martin Luther King, who was declaring that one day we would be free at last. We have all of these figures who have speculated on what it means to be free in a country that has worked so hard to keep us oppressed. And I think sometimes we focus on conceiving of freedom as being the opposition of oppression. And I don't know if I believe that. I think that if we render freedom and liberation as so heavily tied to the idea of oppression, we will never fully divest of that oppression. So maybe we still work on it. Maybe we still think about things. Maybe we break things down. Maybe we decide that we are going to challenge every status quo and not just challenge it, destroy them. Destroy every standard that exists to subjugate any kind of people simply for being who they are. If there is a status quo that subjugates somebody because of their gender, we have to break that down. If there is a status quo that subjugates someone because of their race or ethnicity, we have to break that down. We cannot continue to fight for freedom or try to conceive of freedom within these oppressive paradigms. And I think that's where we get stuck. I think we get stuck spinning our wheels, trying to recreate or reinvent these ideas that we've already tried and failed. We have to try new things. And I think right now we're at an incredible time, as the young people say, what a time to be alive. We are having an incredible moment right now where around the world, people have had enough. Hundreds of years, thousands of years of unhappiness. People are tired. People want more. People are speaking out. People are doing more. People are using new tools to connect with each other and build solidarity. We are connecting not just with people in our cities and our states, or even in our own countries. We are connecting internationally. Right now, there are people in Paris, France, and Johannesburg, South Africa. There are people in Abu Dhabi. There are people in Tokyo. There are people in Sydney who are watching this. And they will all find ways to be inspired and connect with what the women today are saying. And our hope is that this conference will motivate everyone to figure out and find that passion and work towards making the world a better place. You can do it in your own little way. You don't have to do everything. Oftentimes people come to us and say, well, why don't you care about this? And why aren't you doing this? You can focus on one thing and give it your all. And that contribution that you make to the world will be multiplied by the millions and the billions if we all agree. But we've got to try a new way. We've got to think of this a bit differently. So freedom to me is being able to wake up in the morning and navigate my day and exist without the obstacles that are sustained through institutions that don't want to see me thrive. I should be able to walk down the street in peace. I should be able to walk down the street without fearing for my life because I am a woman. I should be able to go to work and be paid the same as the men I work with. I should be able to come home and hug my child and not have somebody question my love for him simply because I went to work that day. I should be able to have my own business without being denied access to distribution deals and contracts that are given to men and to white people with ease. I should be able to love whomever I want to love. I should be able to be whoever I want to be. And that's what freedom is about. And that's what freedom means to me, at least for now. It's what I work for right now. And I work for a world that's going to be better for my young son, who's actually in the room playing video games. This is live. We're here. He didn't want to come in. Okay. So now I'm going to try to show you guys, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how this conference is going to run. And I'm looking at another computer because this is a digital conference and this is what we do. We have our site. It is womensfreedomconference.com/live. And when you go onto that site, you will see frameworks. And I'm going to see if I can pull this up. Can you give me one moment? I'm talking to you guys. This is going to be awesome. We're alive right now. This is how it's supposed to be. I don't want to hear myself though, so I'm not going to stay too long on the page. I don't want it to echo. Let's see if it's coming up. It's coming up. Well, in the meantime, you're going to be able to log on to our page. You're going to see this frame that you see. It's going to be either a live person talking, it's going to be a panel, or it's going to be a pre-recorded video presentation. And you'll be able to watch women from around the world talking about what's important to them and what they're working on. We've got a number of projects and we have an organization that is presenting. We are going to have some people talk about things that they've gone through and that they've experienced and how they've overcome. So you'll be able to watch those. We're going to have an on-demand in case you missed anything. You can go back and watch other videos. Now, in terms of accessibility, right now, I don't have anybody captioning me, but my hope is to have this talk transcribed so that by a few hours from now, somebody will be able to read along and see what I'm talking about. But for all of our recorded videos, you will see transcripts. The transcripts are in English, Spanish, French, and Chinese. We wanted to make it as accessible as possible. Later this evening, we are going to have a live portion at the New School. Many of you have purchased tickets for that, and that is when our keynote speaker Lawrence Hunter will be here, and I'm so excited for that. But we do have 2 ASL interpreters that will be there for that live event. So that will make it a bit more accessible. We've tried so many things, and this is our first time, and we've learned every step of the way. But we're happy that you have joined us today. There are 2 webinars that are taking place. Many of you have signed up. You will be taking classes from Majora Carter and or Dior Vargas, 2 phenomenal women who are experts in their field. You will see a panel sponsored by She Knows Media, where women of color are talking about how they are redesigning the tech landscape. And this is important because as we talk about the globalization of these movements and interconnectivity, we have to talk about the design landscape and how are women of color contributing to that. So that's going to be really, really important. We've got 2 Q&A sessions. One will be live on Hangouts and one will be on Twitter. And you'll be able to talk with well, we're having conversations with 2 of the women who have contributed their presentations. And I think that that's going to be pretty awesome. We have a full day ahead of us, and we're really hoping that you enjoy. And let's get free, y'all. I'm really excited about this. Oh, and just one more thing. This is happening in the moment. Like my friends right now, I'm looking over here, my friends right now are clicking buttons and they're pushing things and they're making sure that things happen. So we're asking that you give us some space to have a hiccup. We may have a glitch. It is digital. I am in New York City. They are in Pittsburgh. Our tech partners in Chicago, I believe, and in the Bay. We're all over. We're coming from all over. So we're asking that you just go with the flow. If you've ever been to any conference, sometimes people show up late, things happen. Just be forgiving and work with us on this, and just know that we are giving you our best effort to unite women of color around the world in solidarity and sisterhood. Thank you so much. And we're going to move forward with our conference. So I'm so thankful that you're here, and I appreciate you. Take care. Now I'm going to switch.